All right. Hello, Mumford High School students. This is Miss Parker, your speech teacher, coming to you once again. I am so very excited to have with us today Miss Kendra Agee, a very well-known, trusted educator and friend of mine. And we're just going to talk about a couple of things that goes with our career and post-secondary planning options. And so I wanted to enlist her help with explaining this to you all. So without further ado, as you all know, I don't like to take up too much time, especially on the videos. So we're going to jump right into it. So Miss Agee, for the audience, may you share a few words about yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name, like you mentioned, is Kendra. I am a success coach for a scholarship program in the Ann Arbor area. I work with students who are considered first generation students, so meaning in their direct lineage, like whether it be like their parents may not have gone to college, so they are considered first generation college students. So they're also considered underrepresented student population. So because most of them go to institutions that are predominantly white, they are considered underrepresented, or they are low income students in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So they receive a scholarship, and my role as a success coach is to mentor them through their college experience. So I help them kind of goal set, plan out what their actual academic plan will look like in regards to, this is what my major is, this is how long it's going to take me, this is what I need to be doing in the meantime, between time. So it's my role to kind of just literally coach them along in that experience. So they can take the scholarship anywhere, which puts me in a place where I have to learn different school systems. As far as myself, I myself am a first gen student. I was considered low income and an underrepresented student. I graduated from Oakland University with both my bachelor's and my master's. My master's is in educational leadership. And I mean, simply put, I'm just a little girl from the east side of Detroit. Like, that's really just who I am, up and down. And yeah, I'm excited about being able to share with you guys.
Thank you so much. You're more than just a little girl from the east side, but we'll leave that there. So for students, I have ninth through 12th grade students. So just in your opinion, what are the different routes that students can take after high school? We always hear, college, but what are some other things? And I know that's your role right now, but what are some other routes that students could possibly take and be successful?
um, Yeah. So one of the things that's really interesting about my position is the fact that I support not only students who decide to go to college in the university form. So universities are four-year institutions. So students who say they want to get their bachelor's degree and go straight into the university. But my role is actually housed in a community college. So the one great thing about community college is you can either go and get your associates, which is a two-year degree, or you can go into a trade of some sort. So the institution I work for actually offers a lot of great options as far as both. So students who are interested in automotive, but may not necessarily see themselves being strong in science and math per se. So they don't want to necessarily go into the engineering side, but they just enjoy using their hands and operating on cars. Being an actual mechanic is an opportunity. It's considered a trade. When you talk about people who do heating and cooling, high vac, plumbing, there are a lot of options, and these people make really, really good money. And that's one of the things that people don't talk about enough. I am a person who believes that I went to college, but that wasn't necessarily where I saw myself going. I always tell my students, it's not about necessarily going to the university. It's just about doing something and doing something that you're passionate about. Beyond just that, it's about doing something that's going to be able to help take care of you. So don't be a bum. Do something, like use the skills and the talents, whatever you have in your hands, whatever you feel like you're passionate about, and actually pursue those things. So I'm all for taking on a trade. I'm all for going to a community college, culinary, whatever it is that you're passionate about, as long as you know that this is what you want to do and you're able to take care of yourself utilizing the skill set. So,
Yep, thank you. And then there's also I have a nephew and a cousin that's in the military. So I have one that's in
yeah.
the force and then one that's in the Navy. So those are very viable options as well, where you can travel. Like one of my nephew is in Japan right now for the next few
Oh
years.
wow.
So definitely, in those trades, like you said, they can make some
They
pretty
make
good
money.
money.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are some steps that students should take now to maximize their opportunities at whatever they may, want to go, course they want to go? Like, what are some things that they can do now?
I mean, preparation time is never lost time. I'm a true believer in that. So utilizing the resources that you have in front of you now. So whether you're a ninth grader, whether you're a 12th grader, whatever you have in front of you, you need to be exploring right now, because very often what happens is, especially I learned this about Brown students, very often everybody's like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a doctor, I want to be an engineer. And it's like, okay, do you really want to go into these fields, or do you really just want to make a substantial amount of money?
Mm.
You have to really be willing and know what these things entail in order to really help determine what it is that you want to do. So I think actually exploring those options, learning what type of schooling it actually takes in order to go into those different fields and those arenas, because some students are like, hey, I want to be a lawyer, but I don't want to go to school for more than 2 years. You can't be a lawyer. You have to go to a university and then go to law school. So figuring out ways to kind of explore those things. Now I always tell students, like, we all have these, we have ready-made computers in our hands. So utilizing these to just Google different stuff, like how, what does it take in order to become, an engineer? What does it take in order to become a plumber? Like really utilizing those things, but also talking to people around you. I think one of the best resources that people don't utilize enough are just networking. Like you're never too young to network. So if you know your mom has a friend who does something that you're interested in, why not, like, one day, like, hey mom, can you ask so and so if we can sit down one day and maybe we can talk,
Mhm.
on the phone. I just have some questions about what it took for them to get there.
Um,
And I know plenty of people who are more than happy to help young people like figure out what it is that they want to do, but you got to be willing to open your mouth, and you got to get off Snapchat sometimes. You got to be able to focus.
yes.
But really, like, exploring those things right now, and recognize that even though you are a ninth grader, you think you have all this time. You really don't. You have time. Yes, there is time on the clock, but you should be utilizing that time in order to prepare yourself for what's next. Very often, I meet students who go to universities just because they think that's what they want to do, and then they spend all this money, all these loans are taken out, and by the end of the first semester, it's like, nope, I just wanted to be an esthetician, so I just wanted to do hair and nails and skincare and this all this stuff. And it's like, well, this isn't the right route for you. How do we figure out how to reroute you? So listening and having those discussions now, and really just being honest with yourself about, what it is you want to do. And it can't just be about money. It can't. Most people who go into careers specifically just for money, or say they want to go to college for a field just for money, typically never make it out with that degree, or they just never make it out of the institution on the other side, period. So really having those real talk conversations with yourself is really important.
Yes. And I know we have an excellent career engaged counselor. Her name is Miss P. Brianna P. That's here at Mumford. That is definitely willing to listen and help guide students at any grade level. So I'm
That's an awesome
definitely
support.
with you on that. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm going to switch it up a bit.
Okay.
Can you provide an explanation or why or how a public speaking course is important for students?
So, I actually am pretty shy by nature. This is not me at all. It is me now because this is what I do. I'm an educator, so I have to talk. And I'm all about effective communication. I took a public speaking course in college, my first like public speaking course, because originally my bachelor's is in English, but originally I went in as a comm major. So I took my first public speaking course, and my professor, I was like really, really nervous about it. But every time I opened my mouth, he'd be like, why are you so nervous about this? Like, you do really well. I
Mhm.
think it gives you the confidence that you need in order to communicate effectively, whether you're going to be behind a computer all day or you are going to be like out in front of people talking and engaging. Public speaking is just a great tool to have because you never know what's going to happen in your world or in your life where you might just need to effectively communicate, whether it's in your relationships with other people, whether it's something that's career focused. It's just really, really important. And it teaches you a lot about the different ways people communicate, I feel like. One of my first, like one of the speeches that I always think about in my public speaking class, I actually started off with the rap. Like, I'm a big Kanye West fan before he lost it. So I enjoyed the college dropout. So I remember like rapping like the first few bars to All Falls Down and starting a speech. And my professor was like, that was just so creative. Like, how the heck did you come up with that? So we don't really think about it, but public speaking is something that we do in many different ways
Mhm.
with different people in different spaces. So I feel like you just gain a lot of experience and you learn how to really effectively communicate with people, whether it's, your personal relationships, your professional relationships. If you work at Burger King, McDonald's, or Captain J's right now, you are public speaking with somebody. When you order a pizza online, technically, or order a pizza with somebody, you're public speaking. So it's just a really good skill set to have, in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's a lot of students that I know that I've worked with in the past that always want to go the entrepreneur route, and I'm like,
Oh,
well, if you cannot clearly articulate your business plan, how are you going to get anyone to want to cash in their coins to support
yeah,
you or invest or whatever it is, or even just support you? So I'm
yeah.
glad that you even stated like this is not just something for class, but will be used throughout your life in many different facets. So thank you for that. All right.
No problem.
We are clearly doing virtual learning.
Yep.
And for me, maybe for you as well, virtual learning has not been anything new.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
what do you say to your students that you may have that are just kind of like against, not fond of it as it relates to their future?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, well, I mean, the truth is, even before the world got put on temporary punishment, we are in a space in a world where a lot of stuff that we do is just virtual, anyways. I mean, this is the generation of FaceTime. If I don't know anything else that's more virtual, like my little brother is always like, I call him and he'll hang up the phone and call me on FaceTime. I'm like, dude, why are you calling me on FaceTime? Like, I called you on the phone. So I feel like this is just, I know that virtual learning is a little uncomfortable for people because some people just do better in person. But
Mhm.
the truth is, there this is just the kind of the world that we live in. Technology is advancing. Technology is creating a space where you could be halfway across the country and still getting resources and information to people. So it's really one of those things where you really just have to adjust. I know it's not necessarily the most comfortable thing for everybody, and I have all of my college students, most of my college students, I think maybe I have a load of like 27 students. I think maybe 3 of them aren't virtual learning right now. The rest of them all are virtual learning, and at one point or another, everybody was virtual learning. But this is really like a support. It really assists students. I think one of the biggest frustrations for some students is having a space to actually be able to virtually learn.
Mhm.
But that's when I tell students that you have to get creative. So maybe it's you sitting in a closet somewhere in your house in order to get your work done. Maybe it's you creating some type of temporary space where you know that you can learn. It's you getting out of your bed because you sleep in your bed. So maybe you doing your homework in your bed on Zoom like this with your phone. That may not be the smartest tactic to take. Like, you have to get creative, and I know that it's not the most comfortable thing. Like, even now I'm sitting on the floor in my apartment, just this is a wall. This is just a normal wall, but creating a space where you can try to be the most comfortable. Because this is something essentially at the end of the day, whether you're in college or wherever else, you just gonna have to adjust, and you want to be as successful as possible. So it's something that you're gonna have to learn how to manage.
Absolutely. I definitely agree. I have multiple locations that I need to, as you know, venture to in order to
Yeah,
be successful in the virtual world, or just, I don't even want to say the virtual world, just the world that we live in. Like, this is the world
yeah,
now. So,
yeah,
um,
absolutely.
so one last question. Again, I thank you so much. What is one piece of advice that you would give students that may not know, and you kind of touched on it, what to do after graduation, but they know they want to be successful? I think you touched on it, but I just want to kind of drive that point home.
So my role as a success coach is also like challenging my students to define what success is for them. Success is different for all of us. We all have, based off of where we come from, how we're raised, what our expectations are for ourselves and our lives, long term, short term. We all have a different definition of success. So I always tell my students, like, define what success looks like for you. Define it based off of what the actual dictionary says, and then say what success looks like for you specifically. But outside of that, I will also say just making sure that you're really like utilizing the resources that are in front of you, making those connections, going out of your way to. I guess for me, I just find it very interesting because I feel like this generation has so many resources.
Yes.
um and even just, like you said, even to know that there's a career counselor, like there's somebody literally set in the school to say, hey, I'm here to support you in this way, shape, form, or fashion. And very often that's what happens to a lot of people and a lot of students who aren't successful on the college side. It's just they don't utilize the resources. So you maximize your resources, utilize them as much as possible. Don't get so comfortable that you think you know all of the answers, because you don't. None of us do. We are all looking for some way, shape, form, or fashion for somebody to help and support and assist us. And that's really what, like, the biggest error that a lot of students make. I work with the youth in my church, and like it's like six of us who all work in like college readiness, so that transition from high school to college. And many of our students who are like transitioning are having very difficult times because they just won't ask for help no matter how much we offer.
Mm-hmm.
They won't utilize the resource. So knowing that you have resources like Miss Parker, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but Miss Parker know everybody. Okay, she is literally connected to everybody in every form of resource that you could ever possibly need. But I guarantee you, in your network of teachers and administrators, she is not the only person who has some type of a connection. So utilizing those things, and sometimes really just shutting up because you don't know, like just really just shutting up and listening and taking in, like, okay, this person has either already been here or has already seen something that I may not see, so they're here to help me and support me. Because let me tell you, educators, we don't make enough money, so it's truly for the heart. It's really from the heart. We do this work because we love y'all, we want to see y'all win. But yeah, sometimes you just gotta shut up and just humble yourself and say, you know what, I need some help, or I'm just gonna shut up and let you tell me what you need to tell me, even if I don't agree with it. Like, I've had to go back to mentors and be like, you know what, you was right, I was wrong, you knew what you was talking about. Duly noted. Next time I got you and I'm gonna listen to you.
It's funny because I like stress all the time, ask questions, ask questions. It's very
Mm-hmm.
different. Like, I know it's different for students, but it's very different for us as educators, where we don't get to see their faces to know, okay, they're puzzled. Let me go over there and say
Yeah.
something. Like, so I do one-on-ones every week, and try to contact students to say, hey, this is our individual time to discuss whatever questions or problems that you have. And
Mm-hmm.
some students are very receptive to it and others are not. But the one thing I've been like emphasizing is closed mouths don't get fed, they stay hungry. So you
Yep.
need to open up your mouth and ask questions so that you're getting the nourishment, right, that you need. So this has been awesome. I wanted to do like a short TED Talk interview, and I knew exactly who to call on. And I appreciate you taking time out your busy day. So let me give you a to die and a pause and a clap. I appreciate you so much, so much, so much, as you already know. Thank you for your time. And students, again, take heed, and we will have a check for understanding that will be placed in Schoology about this interview. Thank you.